Oh my God. Deontay the Bronze Bomber Water from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. To this day, to the to this to this day, your boy Ego is back. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. To this day, Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, defeats Derek Chisora via split decision in O2 Arena in London. In this video, I'm going to break down what I saw. Per usual, I give you guys the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I want to start with the good. The good was, it was a rather entertaining fight, right? Pretty entertaining. I liken this to almost like the newer Fast and the Furious movies, right? It's kind of like the fight was kind of like a popcorn movie where you just grab your popcorn and you just getting ready for some wild stuff. It don't have to make sense. It could defy gravity or logic. Vin Diesel out there tripping. I live my life a quarter mile at a time. You know what I mean? And it's just something to sit back and watch. That's kind of how this fight was, right? There was no real rhyme or reason in terms of like the overall technique and technical ability and skill, and it wasn't that type of fight. It was really kind of like, I challenge you to a duel, Wild West Saloon, let's step out back, take 10 paces and spin type of fight. So the good is, it was a pretty entertaining fight for what it was. You know what I mean? Congratulations to Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder. Also the good, Deontay Wilder is on a win streak now. He won his last fight. He won this fight. He traveled for this fight. Shows you what type of time Wilder is on. It shows that he's a warrior. The other good thing is, for the most part, it looks like both fighters were leaving the ring healthy. They did the post-fight interview. Wilder sounded fine. Derek Chisora sounded fine. Might I add, the post-fight interview was very bizarre. And it was kind of weird because Wilder was speaking highly of Derek Chisora and talking about how they got a brotherhood and a kinship, and he liked Derek Chisora. We got to go fishing, baby. Dirk, you got to come to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. We going fishing. Oh, my God. You know what I mean? And then when they interviewed Derek, he was like, oh, look what Greg bought me. Greg bought me five guys. Oh, yeah. And he was talking about, I won the fight, but I went through the ropes. I would have won the fight. It was just weird, awkward silences. I don't know. Wilder was talking about, we got to take care of the fighters and take care of each other. As far as the fight, I ain't even going to hold you. I do not have none of the rounds memorized. It was like I would have had to have a notepad because of this type of fight. So let me go into congratulations to Wilder. He moves on. He sounds like he's going to continue his career. Derek Chisora, I don't know. He didn't make it sound like he knew for sure if he was going to continue. Props to Wilder. People counting him out. He said post-fight, and he showed up, put on a fun fight. And it's weird. Wilder's current style is a bit weird. And now we're going to get into some of the bad. I don't have too much ugly because both guys are 40 plus. They put on an entertaining fight. They did the best that they could do at an advanced boxing age. So I don't really have any ugly, spoiler alert, for this. But I'll talk about some of the bad. For me, there's something post Tyson Fury trilogy that just, I don't know. It doesn't all the way connect with Wilder. What do I mean? I don't know if it's Father Time. I don't know if it's like the ruggedness and like the miles put on him from mostly the Ortiz fights and the Tyson Fury fight. But there's just something that seems off. Also, I think him switching to Malik Scott I know he wasn't with him for this fight, so don't try to correct me because I know y'all be good for trying to correct me. Oh, ego, you're wrong. Y'all love that ego, you're wrong junk. But anywho, I understand that he wasn't the trainer for this particular bout. I get it. However, with Wilder, it just appears that there's just there's something a little bit different when it comes to how he looks, how he takes the punches, that kind of thing. I don't know. I don't know if I can all the way define it and quantify it, but for me, it's just off. And I really feel like the Fury fights took a toll on Wilder, because Wilder, I think in his absolute prime, he was very formidable. Now he still has some of the components like the heart and some power, but it's not all the way connecting like it did a couple years ago or a few years ago or whatever, right? Like Wilder used to be able to like kind of like Steph Curry, right? And I know Steph Curry is like a technical shooter. Wilder's not necessarily a technical shooter, but what I'm talking about when I'm using Steph Curry is how Steph Curry could be dribbling and then just stop on a dime and then and lace it and get buckets. Wilder had that ability athletically where he could be losing to Luis Ortiz or whatever and just stop, plant his feet, bop, and it was fast and it was very snappy. And in his more recent fights, I haven't seen that aspect of it, right? Where he's just stopping on a dime and bow, and he could just 1-2 you. Because if that was the case, he probably would have knocked out Derek Chisora, who wasn't doing anything defensively honest, or what I mean. It just wasn't. He probably would have got knocked out. Put it that way. Derek Chisora, warrior, game effort. Got some charisma, especially for a British fighter, and shows his personality. It wasn't a B. I do think he lost the fight, so I don't know why he thought he won the fight. The fight was kind of hard. It was like there are points where it was fun, but it was hard to watch because of the lack of technique, and there were moments where both guys, they were really just like spilling about, falling. I can't even begin to tell you the amount of times that they both were on the canvas. There were moments where Derek Chisora was outside of the ropes. And as a watcher, especially if you're looking for, the Terrence Crawfords of the world and some Shakur, the real technical guys, you didn't really get that from this fight. So I can understand there is probably going to be a segment of the audience that they weren't too keen on this particular fight. It kind of depends on what you like. But again, for me, I kind of treat it like a movie. If I'm anticipating a movie and it's like a Martin Scorsese, The Departed, then I'm expecting a good movie. But if I'm going to see Naked Gun or Scary Movie, the reboot, then I know what I'm watching and I'm going into it expecting it's going to be crazy or whatever. So for me, I wasn't disappointed with this particular fight because this was pretty much what I expected from these two styles at the age of 40 plus. So there's that. But it was not a technical fight, and it was very sloppy at points, both guys spilling around. It appeared there were moments where they hurt each other. I don't even have my rounds memorized because it was just too chippy and tooth and nail, rough and tumble. It was just too much going on, right? And all in all, it was a fun watch. Wilder won a split decision. As I mentioned at the start of this video, he absolutely won the fight to me. He looked fresher. He landed the harder punches. And I think he hurt Chisora more than Chisora ever really hurt him. the UK commentators, they were glazing when Chisora would throw these big bombs and occasionally connect. They're all Wilder's hurt, but just from me looking at it, it didn't look like Wilder was so badly hurt. There was a point deduction, coincidentally the same round where Wilder got a knockdown, so that kind of made it, things like that. But all in all, a pretty sturdy fight. Anthony Joshua was ringside. And, I don't even know if I want to see Joshua versus Wilder at this point because it's just not what it could have been. Wilder not looking all the way the same. AJ got knocked out by Dubois as well. You know what I mean? So I guess. I don't know what you guys want to see, but I just think they should have struck while the iron was hot when they both were champions. Could have fought for undisputed, made a whole lot of money, and put on a historic clash. Now it'll kind of be like Amir Khan and Kell Brook when they finally fought. Cool, they fought, but it wasn't the fight that it could have been, because for me, Wilder is kind of between styles still, right? Where the old Wilder shows up, but then some of the Wilder trying to be a bit more like mindful and technical from the Malik Scott camps and fight. So you have Wilder who he doesn't have the same identity that he once had in the fight game. Like Wilder before, again, stop on a dime and just pull up and blast you. Versus this Wilder, I will say this. Wilder was more tenacious and had more of a go-get-him attitude. He definitely looked better than the Joseph Parker fight or Zhele Zhang fight. I give him that for sure. So he is looking to get back to the correct form. So like he said, I'm just going to keep getting better. It could very well be that because he did look better than those previous fights with Zhele Zhang and Parker where he lost. But I'm judging off Prime Wilder, Stavern Wilder. He's not as snappy. And Wilder, I ain't gonna front. This current version is he's doing stuff that makes you nervous if you're a Wilder fan because his hands are low. He's taller than most of his opponents that he's fought outside of Fury, right? And the way he's like, it's almost like it looked like he's on a boat. Like he just looks like, you know what I mean? Like turbulent, and he's moving and his chin is up, his head is kind of straight up, or his back is straight up. And then Derek Chisora is the exact type of fighter who throws these like he'll close his eyes and throw an overhand in these loopy shots. And he was having success on Wilder when he did that. Wilder, he was throwing an uppie, which was actually kind of surprising. And if he would have been able to be a little bit more accurate at times, I think that could have been. So I did enjoy seeing that. It looked like he was trying to get off on the uppie. Again, he was doing it in a way that a faster, younger fighter, if you throw that uppie the way he was throwing it, definitely could counter you with a hook. But against Chisora, he didn't really run into any problems. So it was just kind of like a fun fight. It's like almost like a Lethal Weapon movie if Danny Glover and Mel Gibson, they're talking about making a sequel. Like, we already know they're older, so it ain't going to hit like Lethal Weapon in the 80s, in the 90s, where they're running up the block. They older men, you know what I mean? So, Riggs, I'm too old for this. Son of a bitch. I don't know why I randomly pulled that Danny Glover out my... Pull the trigger! Do it. Riggs, I'm too old for this. That Danny Glover was random. My brain just works in weird ways. But yeah, that's what it reminds me of. Lethal Weapon, they talk about... I just read that they tried to do a new movie, and it's like Riggs and Murdoch getting back. And then, and they made it fun. And they made it a challenge for each other, arguably hurt each other. Wilder, I think, hurt him more. So, pretty solid fight for what it was. If you're expecting more of like a technical, like Wilder, he just does things his own way. the Wilder way. Like, he's not going to turn over his punches perfectly and give you these crisps like Mike Tyson. I'm hungry. I want some porridge. I want some hominy grits out this month. Like, it's just not that. So once you get past that and you just sit back, eat your popcorn, eat your snack, your Lunchable, whatever you got, carne asada burrito, and just sit back and enjoy it, then you can enjoy it. But, I'm just talking about against Moses Atuma and Fabio Wardley. Wilder, I don't think either guy can fight those types of people at this point because of the mistakes and the bit of slowdown that we're seeing, which naturally comes with age, and especially when you had a healthy, long career. So, all in all, the fight was brutal. It was exhilarating, and they did what they said they were going to do. Also, for me, I got to give Wilder a lot of props because he's made it very far in the game and made some good coin off of his style, making the mistakes that he makes. And I think now that he's older, been through some wars and stuff, I think it shows up a bit more than before because his athleticism, and it's not just Wilder. There's other guys that I feel like athletic fighters, when they start to get older, that's when you start to see more chips and kinks in the armor, right? Roy Jones Jr., Sergio Martinez. When Martinez's knee gave out after the Chavez fight, he was no longer the same fighter because he hands low, he relied on that movement. Even Canelo, I don't think Canelo is looking the same now that he's lost some athleticism and speed, moving up and going through wars and whatnot. Roy Jones, same thing. So it slows guys down a little bit. And we're seeing that with Wilder, but Wilder, he makes it work for his case, his use case. And that's not how they would train you to box at a boxing gym if you're just starting out, but it works for him. And his ex-fiance, Telly, is suing him, so that's just a lot to deal with. Enemy crowd in London, you're getting sued by your ex-wifey, basically. People putting like mud on your name and saying this, and that's a lot to contend with. So I still respect that Wilder is able to even perform. Some people, if they got a past due bill or whatever drama, they check out. Wilder got all this stuff behind the scenes going on and maintained a smile and went out and did his thing. Now, remember at the beginning of the show, I said I didn't have any ugly. I was just going to talk mostly good and bad. I lied. I just thought of something. The ugly was the referee. I was not a fan of how he was conducting it, right? Or the commentators. The commentators are just UK bias. But particularly for the ref, there was round 11, I want to say, where there were moments I didn't even know what was happening. I watch boxing every day almost. You know what I mean? I literally couldn't tell you what happened. Derek Chisora spilled through the ropes, and I'm like, what? And they were counting, and then I don't even know if it was counted as a knockdown. So it was like, what are you counting for? Then later in the round, something happened with Wilder where he slipped, and it looked pretty apparent that he slipped, and then the ref administered a count. So there were moments of the fight where it was so messy and chippy, I don't even know truly what happened in those rounds. Like, I don't know what it was ruled as. And I think if you're officiating a fight and a referee, it should be very clear. 1 point, that was a knockdown, that was a slip. Like, I need to know what's going on. So people complaining about Tank Davis took a knee and the hair grease. This whole fight was a hair grease, take a knee fight. They were falling on the ground, all types of stuff. I didn't know what was going on. It looked like kids at the McDonald's play place or something. I didn't know what was happening through some portions of the fight. Round 6, I think, was real good for Deontay Wilder. And, that's really what it is. The good, the bad, the ugly. Props to Wilder on his victory. Chisora, if it is truly over, you put on some big fights. Some people are going to hate. Like, oh, Wilder, da-da-da-da, he lost a step. But let's not forget, especially, I don't want to hear from nobody from the UK, because Joe Joyce, when he fought Derek Chisora, he looked worse. He looked worse and got dropped. Wilder never got dropped, so I don't want to hear it. And when Usyk fought against Derek Chisora, he had a really tough time, really hard time, and he even said that's one of his toughest fights. So all things considered, somebody who we know is not going to be technically sound and older and dealing with all these issues in Deontay Wilder, he went out there and he performed, hurt Chisora multiple times. So take it and shut